Nikki. Hello, lovely. Now, so today is the new time, which I usually am on Tuesday my time, 11 a.m. So now it's Monday morning, 10 a.m. And I know that it's, hey, Nikki, and I know that it's Sunday for those beautiful people in the Northern Hemisphere experiencing summer. And today I want to talk about the main theme of today, which I think is really fun, is to be inspired by life is happening for me, not to me. Now, this perspective is one that changes everything, because it puts us in a power place, puts us in a power mindset rather than a victim mindset, puts us in that it puts us in a place of choice where we can move from. And this means not only, when there's a lot of challenges in life, when challenges come up, it's like when we have to pivot and make new choices. But if we constantly, why did this happen to me? And I know last week we spoke about shame, and we spoke about those emotions that really trigger old action, old behaviors. And this is the belief that pivots you from those old emotions, especially ones of shame. I'm not good enough. I didn't do that, or this happened to me. I should have made better choices. So what inspired this? There's been a couple of things that inspired it, but I've recently, I've got my earphones in, but it's not plugged in. So it's not working, but oh well, it doesn't matter as long as everyone can hear me. Recently, I've started watching Game of Thrones, which I'm obviously, nearly 8 years behind in what that should have been. But my husband and I just recently were watching it, and we're in that last season. And there's an episode where there's the three-eyed raven. And, all these characters, because it's a final season, have been through hell and back. They've been through terrible challenges or trauma, like serious trauma. And it was like the character Bran, who's seeing it as a three-eyed raven, it's like he's got this download from the universe, and now is the knower of all things. He's moved into where he's now the observer of everyone's life timelines or experience. And it's like when they've been through this and how they've come out for this challenge at the end, they needed to go through those challenges to become the person they needed to be for this event. Now, there's always more than one event in your life, but the challenges that we go through in our life and the person we become after that challenge is who you're meant to be. And this also weaves into the topic of divine timing, that I'm meant to show up here today to talk about this because I didn't watch Game of Thrones 8 years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have got the same message, or when those things happen, that synchronicity of events. I was talking to a client of mine this morning, and it's like, oh, I saw this thing on Facebook, I did this course, and through that course I was introduced to another modality, and that's the one I'm going to do, because so it goes through this sort of weave, or this this maze to get to where you're going, because life is a maze, and it is the choices we make that sometimes takes us longer to get there. And sometimes we have learnt our lessons and we understand and we've worked it out. So if you imagine that you're in one of those hedge mazes, which I used to take my son to when he was little, and to get to that end result, to get to the center, it's the choices we make. And as we learn along the way, as we overcome things, and we pick up little not even little, sometimes huge lessons, huge skills, life skills, that we get to that end result, the best version of us. Because often we get trapped or sabotage ourselves by, oh, I should have made that decision. And so we beat ourselves up about it. I would be further along. And I know I was talking similar frame of this last week with shame, that, oh, I should have been further along than I am. Or if I'd only done this. And when we get into comparison, you are on your own trail, you're on your own journey. And the one belief that will shift everything is life is happening for me, not to me. And that's where I wanted to really focus on today. And to actually remember that you're exactly where you're meant to be. You're exactly in the right space now. All the things that you've gone through in your life have brought you to this place with all the skills and knowledge. You're not the same person than you were 10 years ago. You're not the same person who started this journey. You know, those of you that have done personal development work before, and you'll continue, you're not the same person that originally entered into it. You're on a path. And the person you become, the skills that you've acquired, is all about expansion. And that's what life's about. It's about expansion. And when we get stuck into the limiting belief of life is happening to me, which if you look out into the world and you see most people are reacting to life that way, especially in the world where in the media we're hearing about, you know, the economic crisis, or there's a health crisis, or there's political stuff going on. You are on your own path. And the more we look outside of ourselves and believing in that is an excuse why things aren't happening to me, or, oh, the real estate market is at a peak, you know, if I only bought 10 years ago. And all of that may be true, but you didn't. And there's a reason for that. Because right now you can create, you have skills in your life now to create something different. And I heard like a metaphor of the lobster. As the lobster grows, the shell breaks and they create a new shell as the body grows. So this exoskeleton, it's not as humans, we sometimes create that this is how my life is. And as you grow and you don't sort of let that exoskeleton dissolve or crush or break the shell so you can create a new shell, transformation, it means that you are getting stuff and you're getting stuck and stifled in your old life. And this is when you start looking for personal development. This is like when you start looking for expansion, is when the shell that you have created becomes too tight. It doesn't fit anymore. Things aren't working. Things aren't flowing. And you might start getting into the mindset, things are happening to me. This shell is happening to me. But what it requires is for you to break the shell and for you to create new boundaries, new shell, for you to hold your expansive self. And that's when you start to see choices. That's when you start to feel that things are flowing. So when we shift our perception, and the biggest perception in life, I think, is life is happening for me, not to me, because from that place you can create. From that place you can see objectives. And, you know, there are lots of sad stories. There's lots of challenging things. There's, you know, physical loss, health issues. Who are you beyond that? Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's a loss of a loved one. You are still standing after the fact and you still have to get on with your life. So what does that look like for you? And how can you honor that experience in an expansive way? You know, how do you honor your challenges in the best and perfect way for you to move forward? So I wanted you to think about, like, what are the challenges in your life at the moment? And how can you shift it into looking at it from life is happening for me, not to me? And there are a number of questions we can ask ourselves, like why, when we start feeling like the victim, when we start feeling like life is happening to me, it's always from the outside. You know, there may be a little bit from where, like, oh, I made the wrong choices and because of that, or it's easy. It is a belief system. It's these belief systems that we have created this old shell through life's journey, and that's okay. Like, there was a time when that belief system served you to understand how the world worked, whether it be from 0 to 7 or because of certain things. That belief system did play a role in how you discerned how the world worked. Now it doesn't serve you anymore. I was talking to a lady yesterday. I went out for lunch, and she was saying how two siblings could have very different perspectives of life. One child may think the world is against me, or, you know, everyone's against me, or I don't have any friends. And I had a child who had that perception for a little while. And the other child just thinks the world is magical. Who's going to have the better experience? But what they've been given in life is exactly the same environment. They've just chosen to see it differently. So I invite you to ask yourself, how do you see things? How do you see your life? Where do you feel like a victim of circumstance? You know, where do you feel like I can't have that because of this, or I can't choose this because of this? The environment may be the same, but how do you use your experience to choose this is happening for me? You know, we talk about women often. I was listening to one of my mentors, a lady called Anna Kitney. She's a theta healer from the UK. And she works very much in empowering women healers and coaches, and the stories as the wounded mother that we tell ourselves that we can't do this because of our children. And there was another story I heard, like, that we have to sort of suffer a little bit as well. Now, your situation may be that things are in a certain way, that yes, you have young children and there are elements that you need to provide for them, and there's an environment that you want to provide for them, but your perspective can be different. It doesn't mean if I'm there for my children, I can't have a career or I can't pursue a passion, because you can. And it's just a matter of refocusing, because what is the belief that I can't have it? Oh, if I have it, I'm optimistic. And I am the eternal optimist, but sometimes I do find myself falling into it, like, oh, but this seems hard. But when you feel like you have to choose between, but there's new ways of doing things. There's new ways of, like, outsourcing, so you can still be there with your family and you can still pursue your passion. Because if your focus is totally on your children, and my value is being a mother, that's one of your values. But if your values is only being a mother, you're not fulfilling the other aspect of you. And fulfillment is really important. I was working with a client last week, and we were talking about values, which is something we worked on last week. We were talking about values, and she said to me, her values are service and legacy, which are beautiful values. And I said, okay, they're great values, but what about you? Service is about what you do. Legacy is what you leave beyond you. What about you now? Where does your motivation come from? Where does your, and I said to her, fulfillment. What does service and legacy give you? And she explained to me satisfaction. Satisfaction is a bit of a lukewarm response. Fulfillment is why we pursue personal development. Fulfillment is why we grow and expand. That's why we go on challenges. That's why we, want to be healthy. Fulfillment, the reason we want to have experiences with our family or a business or a career or whatever it is because it gives us fulfillment. Without it, we wouldn't want it. Because freedom and fulfillment nearly can be part of the same. When you have fulfillment, you feel free because it is part of your soul contract of why you came here. So what is my fulfillment? When you're in the perspective of learn and knowledge, yes. Like when you're in the perspective of life is happening to me, you have lost the connection to your fulfillment. You believe that it is separate to you. You believe that maybe you can't have it. So with my client who said legacy and service is her values, we incorporated, she hadn't allowed herself to take on fulfillment as a value because there were belief system which was really interesting that she thought, oh, well, that's being selfish. If I'm doing something for my own fulfillment, I'm being selfish. If I'm doing this because I'm going to receive monetary gain out of it, maybe that's being greedy. Or if I'm doing it because, so she didn't connect to fulfillment was part of a soul contract. She came here for service and legacy. They're part of the same. They're part of her trinity, part of her three parts, mind, body, soul. It's part of who she is. You need the third aspect. And your values, you may have up to 10, but I like the idea of having three main values that look at, in my genes are giving me what I need. Yeah. It's like, it's like to connect your Genesis, my Genesis. Yeah. What do you mean by that? Nikki, the Genesis is good because I'm curious.
My genius.
Oh, your genius.
Yeah, that was the spelling. I'm trying to get it.
I thought Genesis. Okay, well, that's like transformation. No, that's like, you're becoming something else.
That's what it is. Genius.
Yeah, your genius, your genius is connected to your superconscious, connected to your higher self. And that's when you're being soul led. When you are looking at what fulfills you, you're tapping into your soul led contract, your genius, you're tapping into your intuition. And this is so important moving forward. So this is when would you have chosen to come here we understand, a lot of us that are on this spiritual personal development path, that we understand that we're spiritual beings here choosing to have a physical experience. But when we shift into that old mindset of life's happening to me, not for me, we separate ourselves from our genius, from our intuition, from our superconscious. We separate it. As soon as we shift that perception, life is happening for me. And it may mean that I've had to experience trauma in this lifetime. And it may mean that I've had to experience loss, financial, physical, emotional, loss of a loved one. It may mean that you've had to experience that. But on the other side of that, you've become expanded. On the other side of that, you can add value to maybe someone else who's going through that experience. From the other side of that, you may see life differently. You start living more connected. I've spoken to people that have gone through severe terminal illness and come out the other side. Their perspective of life is very different from the person that, was first diagnosed. And so, like, Joe Dispenza talks about the person that created a certain experience or physical manifestation, the person that heals from it is very different. Dyslexia and spelling, yeah, like, there was something you needed to overcome, and especially, dyslexia is like, I see things differently. I can see things differently. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. Like, I've got a beautiful client I've spoken about, like, because I think it's a big one. Like, she was told and labeled that she was OCD, and feeling broken, feeling there's something wrong with me, feeling that, I can't, yeah, like when you got dyslexia. Yeah, and I actually have a story about this dyslexia. I had a friend, her son did judo with my son, and she kept seeing that there must have been something wrong with the son. Oh, he's dyslexic, he's something else. It was all these different issues. And she was saying, oh, I wish he was more like your son, because your son's good at maths or good at, English. And I said, but that's his genius. Your son's he was an amazing musician. Her son was an amazing musician. He spoke the language of music. He could read music. He could do music, like pick up songs or things just by hearing them. He had an amazing genius, but they were focusing on the wrong thing, focusing on what he couldn't do. And they just needed to speak to him and educating him differently. Yeah, the shame and being mocked. Like, when I was in grade 2, I started school very young. And because I didn't have, Richard Branson, all with dyslexia, because it doesn't stop you. And I actually showed that young boy, because he believed that he wasn't good enough, because in his school environment, they kept telling him, and they kept pulling him out of class and going to do more testing, instead of focusing, what you're really good at? You're great at music, and maybe you just need to learn differently. Maybe you need to look at things differently, because the standard way of learning, like my son was good at one thing, but he wasn't good at other things, which he focused on that this felt, he wasn't good at sport or activity. So then he started to get a negative relationship with that. I was told to tell nobody, otherwise nobody would accept me. Oh, that would have been terrible. Like, imagine the belief systems that come around that who I am is not good enough. I won't belong. How our parents did the best they could with what they knew at the time. And this is how we expand, because your experience going through that with what you've established, with what you've created now, you can now teach, you can now inform others that this is not the case. This rigid education system is not built for our creative, beautiful thinking children. It's not created for it. And being misunderstood. So we need to, life is happening for me. This situation of having dyslexia or maybe OCD, and there's different extremes of OCD. I don't understand that there's some that are just, it is a real issue. But also what is the genius of someone with OCD? They've got an amazing ability to focus. That is their genius. So what they choose to focus on. So what do they need to work on is, what do I need to focus on? Because when they're focused on something that's of a creative nature, they can just go beyond. This client of mine, when she actually started focusing on what she wanted, the world shifted. What started coming into her life was so amazing. She got to travel, she got jobs that she didn't expect. As soon as she shifted her perspective that life is happening for me, not to me. This great skill that I have of focusing. So what she does need to learn on, that she believes that she has a choice of what she focuses on. She can choose it. And it's like a laser focus. Without, training someone, they may focus on all the wrong things. But it's like any muscle, once we train it, we can focus on something that is of a creative nature. So what did I hear today, which I thought was really interesting? That worrying is negative goal setting. And this is how I can transition onto, focus. Worrying is negative goal setting. And that means that, when we're worried about not having enough money at the end of the month, or we're worried that we don't have enough clients, or we're worried that about a certain health condition, when we're worried about that, we're focusing attention on an outcome we don't desire. And this is where life is happening for me, not to me. That when you get presented with something that is unwanted, you can choose, well, how would I like it to be? And this is where we do the process of quantum jumping, and we tap into that future self that has already created it. What did they do? What were the action steps required? What do they do when that health condition's already there, when that health condition's already healed, when we already have that money, be it $10,000 a month in your coaching business, be it that you've created your own styling or consultancy business, and you're bringing in that money and it's coming in flow, or you've created a side hustle or another business. What happens then? What were the action steps, rather than worrying that it could go down another path? It could well do. And that's when we go into the Wizard's Gate. And, when we're in this present moment and life is happening for me, we have choices. And that's when we have that understanding that, you know what, the way I thought it would work out, it didn't. But I can pivot from that too. That's what I know. Grateful that life is happening through me, for me, around me. Yes, absolutely. And when we live from that place, it's like we have faith that things will work out. Louise Hay was very much about that. Like, the faith that, if something shows up, it's like when we're trying to control a situation, that it has to show up a certain way. And when it doesn't, we're like, oh my God, what can we do? You have the skill and the muscle to understand, I can pivot from here. When there's been a challenge, when a deal's fallen over, or, a client didn't sign up, or, whatever it was, or, a job that you wanted didn't work out, it happened for a reason, because it's given you space to choose something else. And when you see it from that, you will see the opportunities. If you're constantly focused on what has been, that, oh, but I wanted this job, I wanted that person, I wanted to get the result from my doctor on this day. When you can try and control the outcome, you're separating yourself once again from your intuition, your superconscious, your genius. Your genius will see the different paths. Your genius is the version of you that is the observer, that can see that you've got many paths to go. Believe that something is better is coming. Always. There was a great story, I think it was Susan Sarandon, and when she was a young actress, she said that every time she missed out on a role, she'd go out and buy herself a glass of champagne and celebrate the next opportunity that's coming to her. Well, I missed out on that because it wasn't meant for me. And another great follow-up is like, what's meant for me cannot be lost. And that's sometimes hard, especially when you've got your heart set on something. If you've got your heart set on something and it falls over, you like feel disappointed, but don't stay there too long. It's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay to do that, but pivot. It wasn't meant for me. What's meant for me cannot be lost, cannot not be for me. But if you spend so much time focused on what didn't happen instead of moving to what can happen, it can change everything. So that's what I wanted. Yes, the genius. Yeah. It's like from the victim mentality to the genius mentality. The fix it, this has happened to me, I've got to fix this problem, I've got to control it, to surrender and knowing there's a higher path for you, because there is. And this is when we let go of the how. And this is when we work in those 2 points, the A and the B. This is where I am today. This is where I want to be. And then you look at those 2 points, and whatever is in between is that maze of choices that we get to make. And maybe there's a few more skills and lessons you need to learn on the way. But you wouldn't have had that vision for your end result if it wasn't meant for you. There was a saying that, the divine doesn't dangle carrots. If it's a true choice that makes your heart sing, and we've spoken about true choices before, if it's a true choice, it's meant for you. Like maybe you've had this thing called Presque-Vu when you've walked. I remember it was years ago, I walked into this house. I went on a girls' weekend in Noosa, which is in Queensland where I live now. Beautiful place, a beautiful beach town. And we were all staying in this beautiful home on a canal. And it was so familiar to me. I'd never been there before. I hadn't, but it was like, oh, this is for me. Maybe not that house, maybe not anything, but it was like it tapped something in that I, like a soul knowing that was for me. The desire is to be fulfilled. And the only thing stopping from moving from A to B is that we believe we can't have it, or that we believe outside influences can affect. And this is where at the moment we're going through, on a global scale, all these things. There's wars, there's economic crisis, there could be another health crisis, who knows? It's like all these things. It's not going to stop you from creating, because it just shows us when things are going well, we're not really growing or expanding, we become stagnant. When things are flowing, and every now and again we need that sort of the lobster shell to feel a little tight for us to break the shell to create a new one. Focus on what we can't and what we can, yeah. And that shift, because we were always taught to focus on what we can't, what's not working, and it's sort of like we're built that way. And that's the other thing, is that from the third dimension, when I've done the circles, the 3 level of consciousness, super conscious, unconscious, and conscious. The conscious level, which is where we get to choose, is polarity, 2 parts. This is what I want, this is what I don't want. Abraham Hicks talks about it all the time. Apparently, speaking to this trans channel, we are the only higher dimensional beings. They think it's weird that we use this the wrong way. Higher dimensional beings, which we all have access to, which we're all expanding and growing to becoming, is that we see what we don't want and we just focus our attention on what we do want. Ignite a little bit of OCD, ignite a bit of your omnipotent power to focus on what you do want, instead of focusing on what's not working. And we have to remind ourselves every day, and maybe that's the muscle that you need to train, to pivot. Life is happening for me, not to me. And terrible things may have happened, but it has brought you to be the stronger person. It's brought you to be the person, like going back to Game of Thrones, the character Sansa, when she's talking to the Hound, and he's saying, you should have come with me, if you don't know the story. But anyway, he said if he was going to help her leave an unwanted situation and she didn't go with him, he said, if you had have come with me, all those bad things wouldn't have happened to you, because he used to call her little bird. And she said, if I had have come with you and not experienced all this trauma, I would still be a little bird. And now this woman is a queen. And that's what we want to be. We want to be queens. We want to be the wise woman. We want to be queens of our life. We want to be sovereign. We want to be powerful. We're not the maiden. We are now the queens of our experience. And I think all those things we've been through, and all of us have been through stuff. I was at this lunch yesterday, and all these beautiful women had been through so much, all different stories. Everyone's, having a beautiful time. We've all been through stuff and we had to go through it for whatever reason. And we have empathy for everyone that is going through challenging times. But being the queen of your experience, because this is about your life experience, is who you become on the other side of that. Be the queen. You are the sovereign being. You get to choose. And if you didn't go through it, you wouldn't be the same person. You wouldn't be as strong. You wouldn't be as powerful. So who are you becoming? And this is like a really, like when I do the Turn the Page program, the first thing we do is I get everyone to write out, who are you becoming? What does this version of you look like? How does she think? What does she do on a daily basis? What is she creating? What has she created? How does she feel? What are her belief systems? I'm powerful. I'm good with money. I'm a great investor. I'm an amazing coach, healer, business owner, entrepreneur, whatever it is. How does she feel when she's in that place, when she's already created it? What is the emotion? How do you want to feel? And the gap between the void between A and B is growing and moving and transmuting into that place. You know, when I spoke a couple of weeks ago, I think it was about the potatoes. You know, when we're transmuting emotions like anger, if you see it as I'm angry about this situation that happened to me, I'm in grief, I'm sad, I have shame about this situation that happened to me. Transmuting that emotion to a higher frequency. A higher frequency is like when we boil the potatoes and we make it into a beautiful mash, or we roast them and make them into beautiful crispy potatoes, or a potato au gratin, or whatever it is, whatever amazing potato dish you're going to make from these hard, bitter vegetables or roots or whatever they are. We can transmute it because we get to a higher frequency. From that moment, you're choosing not to stay that potato that's in the ground. You're choosing to be something else. And who are you becoming? Tell me all about it. Start your journal and start writing in that journal where you start saying, and you're coming from the place that life is happening for me. And that means you can handle any challenge that is brought your way. I mean, if you come from that perspective, you can handle any challenge. Now, I think I got a bit carried away then. So I'm going to do a recode. And we are going to do, it's probably more of a quantum jump process today, more than a recode. And we are going to, I think the quantum jump, as I transitioned, I want you to come from that place of life is happening for me. It's heart opening. And the code that we're going to download today in this quantum is the lucky girl syndrome, the lucky girl codes. Because the lucky girl, lucky woman, the queen codes, is that she believes and has faith that it's working out. Now, lucky isn't delusional, or it isn't anything like that. To know that you're lucky, even when bad things happen, it means that you know that you're going to come out the other side. And the challenges we've had, and you go, well, I'm not lucky because this, and this happened to me. Well, that's the past. And that has made you stronger. And that has given you skills to be a greater person in your future reality. So you are lucky to overcome that challenge. We're not saying that situation was lucky. We're saying you are lucky that you can evolve, expand, and grow from where you came from. And then I think there was that movie, Lindsay Lohan, it was years ago, something about it, she was lucky. And we need to actually remember, because that's downloading the lucky girl code is, and I call it that, it can be the lucky, just the lucky as in faith that you're on the right path, that it's working out for you. And I think it's an important one to have. Like on my I ams that I do every day, one of them is lucky. I am lucky. I am lucky because not only with my green lights and parking spaces, but I'm lucky to get that table at the restaurant. I'm lucky to catch those green lights and arrive on time and all these things. I'm lucky to be chosen for that event or be waitlisted or whatever it is. I am lucky. Things will work out for me. And when they didn't, because that was a moment in time that wasn't meant for you, and it's put you on a new path because you're lucky. So that's the code I want to download. And the belief is it's happening for me, not to me. And we're going to move into that end result. So that's the choice today. And so I'm just going to check on Facebook to see if there's any questions on there, because this is a new time. So that's good. All right, everybody. Those of you on the live call, those of you that are watching the replay, I want you to close your eyes, relax your shoulders, feel grounded in your seat. Feel grounded in your seat. And I want you now to imagine that future version of you. This version of you who knows that life is happening for me and not to me. Because it's usually the future version that knows that, because it's already happened, and you go, oh, that's why all of these things happened. That's why I had to experience that. That's why I ended up on that path to meet that person, to go, when you look back in the past, you can see the synchronicity of the maze that has been your life. So I want you now to be that version of you who's looking back and seeing the synchronicities of your life and the growth. And what does that version of you look like? What is that version of you? How does she feel? What does she do? What has she created? And what's her values? How does she feel fulfilled? What is fulfilling for her? What is she going to say? That I created something awesome. I created a life where I got to have great relationships with people. I got to create abundance that I could take my family on holidays. I got to create where I explored my passion. I overcame adversity and I got to create something. What is that version of you? And knowing who it is. And I want you to think about that desired outcome. How does it feel to be in that place? How does it feel to be that version of you that's already created it? Where are you living? Who's part of your life? Who are you working with? You know, what do your clients look like? What's your business look like? What's your monthly income look like? What does it feel? Does it feel good? And now I want you to come back to the current state, the current reality. And what's the difference here? What feels different? This gives you the path moving forward. What feels different here? How do you feel? And what would you need to believe to create your current reality? What are some of the limiting beliefs that you have been coded to, that you were plugged into, that have created your current reality? What beliefs have been part of your shell that you need to break? Maybe it's feeling not enough. I'm not capable. You know, maybe it was not belonging, or I'm not smart enough. You know, these old parts of your shell that I need to be the good girl. I have to be the people pleaser. You know, what beliefs have you had that have created your current experience? And obviously there's part of your experiencing that you're feeling right now that isn't your desired result. It isn't awesome. There's probably things going on right now, otherwise you'd already be living your end result. So what is it about? Maybe it's maybe there's a belief that making money is hard. You know, I was listening to a mentor, the one I was talking about, Anna Kidney, and she's saying, you know, making your first 100,000 is easy. She said it's easy. Maybe that's a belief we need to change to. Maybe making my first million is easy. Whatever it is, first 100,000, 500,000, and there's always that shell that we need to break along the way. Going to 6 figures, going to 7 figures. Maybe the belief was making money is hard. It's really hard to do that. And that could be an ancestral belief. So what are the beliefs that have created your current experience? Write them down. And how does that make you feel? How do you feel in your current experience? Maybe there's feelings of, you know, feeling overwhelmed. Maybe there's feelings of feeling shame that of decisions you've made in the past or not enough. You know, maybe there's resentment that other people didn't show up the way you wanted them to. They're all external from you. And when you shift it into the belief of life is happening for me, not to me, maybe the people we required or wanted to help us create this life and they didn't, if you come from the perspective of life is happening for me, is that maybe they weren't meant to. Maybe it was to show your power, how you can show up in your best version, how you can show up as the light, the creator. That you came here to learn these creative skills, that you came here to be the one who could create the life you want. You don't need someone else to do it for you. How can you see every experience that triggers an old response? How can you see it differently? And I want you now, as you've put in the beliefs that have brought you to this point, I want you to reframe those beliefs. I want you to reframe them. What would they look like as a person in the end result? What are the beliefs that that person in the end result has that are different to this? Because we're creating that new shell. We're creating that new, we're breaking the old shell, creating a new one, unplugging from the old matrix into the highest version of you. I am capable. I am enough. I am a powerful creator. I am good. Making money is easy for me. Relationships are easy for me. I love being in a relationship. It's awesome to find my soulmate. I'm excited about it. My health, I can change my health. I have the ability to pivot. I have the ability to create good health, whatever it is. What is the new beliefs? And now we're just going to download, recode, give some new instructions from your superconscious to your unconscious. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to give me permission to speak to your superconscious and to give new instructions. Superconscious, are you there? Superconscious, do you see the 2 points in time? Do you see the end result? Superconscious, please tag and treat. Please tag and treat all resistance to creating that end result. Please tag and treat the beliefs we've written down that have limited us, that are plugged into the old way, the old shell, the old matrix. And I want you to physically see unplugging from those old beliefs and plugging into the new one, the new beliefs. I am powerful. I'm a creative force. I'm an unstoppable energy. I'm a master manifester. I'm a money magnet. I am good with money. I can create. It's easy for me to create. Whatever it is, these new beliefs. Superconscious, please tag and treat in the best and perfect way. Give the new instructions. Unplugging from the old into the new. And superconscious, please download the new statement. Life is happening for me, not to me. And please tag and treat all resistance to this statement. Please tag and treat all resistance to the following statement. Life is happening for me, not to me. Life is created and ignited from my inner desire for fulfillment, expansion, and joy. And superconscious, please download the Lucky Girl code and the emotions of faith and trust. I have faith in my path, my journey. I have trust. You get to choose the highest timeline, and you can shift your frequency from this. The Lucky Girl code is a high frequency of love and above, of just joy. When you win something, when things work out, when you arrive at the right time, divine timing takes place. There's such joy. You're coming from the frequency of 550. Superconscious, please download the frequency of 550 as your natural state of joy. And do a massive change history and everything else that's needed in the best and perfect way. And download the code of the Lucky Girl, the faith, the lucky, the queen, the sovereign queen. I deserve, I am worthy. Please tag and treat the following statements. And I want you now to go back to that end result and see it through the eyes of the version of you that feels lucky. The one that gets the green lights and parking spaces, the one that gets a table in the restaurants, the one that can win holidays and things just work out. You get that deal, you get, you send the email, it ends up in the right person. You're lucky like that. Synchronicities line up. You're at the maze and you're finding your way. You realize which way to go. You feel like that ease and flow. You're not coming up against brick walls. You're moving. Superconscious, please treat the analysis of the maze that you're finding your path. You've got the map forward. You've got the map forward to get to the end result. To understand the metaphor of the maze. That when you've got the right instructions, you can find your way out, no problem. Or find yourself to the center, that pot of gold, that end result. Superconscious, please treat the root chakra and the sacral chakra. Sacral chakra being one of joy. Allowed to treat front and back. Your heart chakra, front and back, that beautiful green aura, that one of love and abundance that you're able to give and receive. You can have fulfillment, and you also can give selflessly and receive all that is worthy that you are worthy of all of it. All that you desire, you can receive it, to give yourself permission to receive. Please tag and treat all the resistance and old coding around receiving. Please treat the old beliefs that you're being selfish. Please tag and treat and go to the original event and do a massive change history and everything else that's needed. Pull that, I'm being selfish, I'm not good enough, it's not spiritual. It's all these things that have stopped you from receiving. Go to the original event, pull it, tag and treat it in the best and perfect way, and put the new feeling, the new belief, things are happening for me, not to me. And I am worthy to receive. Just, it's coming my way, just more and more and more and more. Superconscious, please treat all remaining resistance. Please ground all memories we've touched on today, future memories, tandem memories, quantum memories, ancestral, past life. Please ground the new belief, life is happening for me, not to me. Please ground this belief in all dimensions, all timelines. And please upgrade your current perspective to the Lucky Girl code. Luck. I am lucky. I have faith that it works out for me. I have faith. No matter what the path takes me, I have faith that it's meant for me. That your destiny is soul-led. And please ground this soul-led destiny, your end result, into the physical matrix of this physical plane of the universe. Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. And I want you now just to see, come back to the present and see your world through the eyes of life is happening for me, not to me. And see it through those eyes. So when you open your eyes from this process, you are now coming from the place of faith, trust, and seeing the opportunities and seeing a path forward for every situation that's coming up for you right now. I hope you enjoyed today's session. This is a new time, so I will be Monday at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I think it's Sunday afternoon and evening for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm sending you so much love from my heart to yours. I'm wishing you all the abundance, health, wealth, love, and remember that, yeah, life is happening for you, not to you. You are the center of your universe. And as within, so without. And you come from that place of divinity and connection. And you may need to remind yourself that every day, but that's okay. Just always remember. And even if you have to repeat it constantly until it becomes true for you. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. Sending you so much love. All right. I will speak to you soon. Bye.